I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Burn again, burn again, burn again, ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we discuss every single Bare Naked Ladies song from 7 to Y. At least that's what we do most weeks. This week we're going to break from the format again, and I am excited to introduce this week's guest. Before I do that, I do want to let you know that we have Aaron and Jeff Whitmire joining us tonight to help with this interview. Thank you very much and welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone.
For tonight's guest, he has had an illustrious career. He was on the Bare Naked Ladies pilot as Hilt McGinty. A few years before that, he was on a Bare Naked Ladies video falling for the first time. That was all the acting credits I could find. But he is also part of a duet, The Cousins, with Kevin Hearn from Bare Naked Ladies. They had an album called Rattlesnake Love. It is my pleasure to introduce to you...
Hey, Tracy, you do realize this is Harland Williams, right? This is, he's not just involved with the Bare Naked Ladies. And
he's done a few more things.
Yeah. You ever heard of Half Baked, or There's Something About Mary, or Dumb and Dumber, or any of his numerous comedy specials?
Oh, wow!
No,
Okay.
Ringing a bell? Okay, yeah, same guy.
That guy?
About 200 Conan O'Brien appearances,
I
believe.
Harlan, did I see you on that show? It wasn't Whose Line Is It Anyway? It was a different show. It was actually a better show. It was called Thank God You're Here.
Yeah, that was me. I was on that. Yeah.
You are amazing on that show. I really love that. I wish that they had kept that show going.
Yeah, I wish it continued too, because they wanted me to come back and do another one. I had a blast. I was representing for Canada, and we won the trophy that night. It was a blast.
Well, I mean, you did have a bit of an advantage with, Dave Foley being the judge and all. It wasn't quite fair.
That's true. But I still think we blew everyone else away regardless. It was a fun night, really cool.
But no, you guys were hilarious, and it was totally worth it.
Harlan, you have or had, I need some clarification on this, because I know that you did a Christmas special recently, or a holiday special, rather, seeing as you had a rabbi on and everything. The Harland Highway, is that still something that's going to be happening down the road, or is that more or less officially at an end?
The Harland Highway was my podcast, and I've been doing it for almost 11 years, and I hit 1,000 episodes in last June, and I decided that's a lot.
It's a pretty good run.
And what's that?
It's a pretty good run, yeah.
It's a pretty good run, and I just I love doing it, but when I started the podcast, I was one of the few people in the stand-up world, in fact, in the whole podcast world, that was doing podcasts. It was a very limited field, and now I don't know anyone who doesn't have a podcast. But I think it's great. If you have something to talk about, it's such a great vehicle. But I just felt like I kind of exhausted my creativity for it, and so I've switched gears, and now I'm doing a new video show called Two Guys in Their Underpants, and putting all my time and effort into that. It's pretty awesome. I can tell you more about it later if you want.
Yeah. Please.
So, Harlan, this is Tracy.
Yeah.
And I guess my first question I really have for you, what I really want to know, and I know it's kind of a typical question, but how did you get started in this business? Like, where did it all begin?
Well, I guess I started in Toronto. I went, they had a comedy club there. They had one comedy club back in the 80s, and I went down on amateur night and did my 5 minutes, and it actually went pretty well, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep going. And so I just, I kept going, and eventually I moved down to Hollywood here where I live now. And then, things started to take off for me pretty quickly when I got to Hollywood, and it hasn't slowed down since. So I'm still here, man.
So when did you move to Hollywood?
I moved to Hollywood in about 1988.
Wow.
Yeah, 88. And it still seems like yesterday, but I when I really think about it, I realize, like, what's that, 30 years, 25 years has gone by? It's ridiculous,
a good chunk of change,
man.
Yeah.
It really blows my mind, and it's crazy, but it turned out to be everything I had kind of dreamed it would be and thought it would be, and it was the right choice, and it's been an amazing journey. So
yeah, well, we're all glad you did that, man.
Thank you.
Did I hear correctly, Harlan, that you were actually a forest ranger for a while?
Yeah, I did. I did a forest ranger stint up in northern Ontario in Canada. Are you guys in Canada, or are you in the U.S.?
We're in Maine.
So Aaron and I are in Maine, which is kind of like southern Canada, kind of an offshoot.
Yeah.
And
Maine is the Florida. Maine is the Florida of Canada.
That's right. I love Maine. Yeah.
And Jeff is from Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I did a little stint up in northern Ontario, Canada, for about five years, working in forestry and doing forest ranger stuff, fishing, wildlife, canoe guide, all that stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Trying to picture having you as a canoe guide. That must have been something.
It was pretty fun. I was pretty good at making loon calls. Oh
yeah?
My God.
Well, I guess whale noises don't work as well in the Canadian outback. So
No whales up in the Great Lakes, but
the whale calls probably scare off the loons.
Yeah, they think it's a mating call, and then they start flapping on your forehead. You don't want that.
Those are some injuries you don't want to have to explain to people.
Yeah, you don't want a loon penis indent in your forehead. That's not pretty. Hard to explain at parties.
But memories, though, right?
Oh yeah.
I am, throughout this interview tonight, going to be asking questions more Bare Naked Ladies related, because I am the huge Bare Naked Ladies fan out of the three of us. The other two will ask more relevant questions in a lot of ways.
Wow.
But I, of course, am going to keep bringing it back to Bare Naked Ladies.
Sure. Whatever you want.
Well, now we've done a lot of these, and who do I say I'm kind of the fanboy of in the BNL and the Bare Naked Ladies?
That's true. Jeff is very much the Kevin fan of the podcast.
I'm the Kevin fan. I believe you know him, correct?
Smart man.
Bit, yeah.
So speaking of Kevin, like, people may or may not know that you put out an album with Kevin called The Cousins. The name of the album is Rattlesnake Love.
Yeah.
And so I think that one of the questions I have is, there were some reviews that were online. Let me read them real quick. One person said that it was like a layer of cheap lasagna at an Olive Garden. And then another review said, you never really know what's coming out the other end. That didn't sound too good. It's like someone needs some Pepto-Bismol, and that's not a good way to talk about the music. What is your response to that?
Well, I think I wrote both of those reviews, so I think they're fabulous. One thing me and Kevin do, we love to make the music, and we're very serious when we're making it, but we don't take it seriously. We kind of can think of ourselves as a phantom band, where the Cousins are this kind of omnipresence, and you don't know if they happened in the 50s and the 60s, or they happened yesterday. And so we have a lot of fun and poke fun at ourselves, and we shoot kind of tongue-in-cheek videos. And the songs, actually, we do very seriously. Like the music, kind of, if you listen to it without any of the hoopla, we feel like the songs kind of stand on their own. But just because we're not a real band, like we can't tour, because he lives in Toronto, I live in LA, so we just have a lot of fun and make fun of ourselves, and it's just all about having fun and me and him being together and making music together. We love that.
Yeah, you can really hear that.
And this is totally not a funny album. Like,
well, yeah, Power Pound is pretty comedic.
Power Pound's kind of comedic. Yeah.
I need you to step back so I don't power pound your face.
I need you to step back. I need you to step away. I need you to step back so I can power pound your face.
Power pound, power pound, power pound, power pound, power pound, power pound.
Well, I'll tell you the story behind Power Pound.
Please.
We were up in Kevin's studio, and we were recording a bunch of serious songs. And I said to him, it was late at night. I said, let's go in the studio and just turn the mic on, and I'm going to start like riffing, and I want to do like a dance, like technotronic tune. Right. And Kevin was like, what? And I said, Kevin, I want to do something that you've never done before. I want to take you out of your comfort zone, right? So I just went in and started like riffing all these like power pound, and he didn't know what was happening, but part of the fun of me and Kevin working together, it's like we just believe in each other's kind of voices and visions. And so he just jumped in, and I said, just make it techno, like you're at a raging nightclub, and we just patched that thing together, and we were laughing for hours and hours, man. It was so much fun.
This is a really serious album for the most part, but I have to say, my favorite line is "Suck on my silence." That makes me laugh every time.
Suck on my silence. That was from
Suck on my silence.
Attention,
yes.
Earthlings, right? Yeah.
Greetings, Earthlings. I come in peace from the planet Earth. I want to be part of the Earth community. I want to clip coupons on Wednesdays. I want to recycle on Thursdays. On Fridays, bowling. And on Sundays, I'd like to lay on your lawn chairs.
Yeah, so that's off of Rattlesnake Love, and to my point, what I just said, that was Kevin's idea. We went to a studio in Los Angeles, and Kevin said, "Hard, jump in the booth and just start singing about aliens." That was all he told me, and I said, I love to improvise, so I just went in and started like making up the words. I don't think we wrote one word down to that song. I just winged it, the whole thing, and "Suck on My Silence" just came out. I don't even know where that came from, but that was Kevin's inspiration, and the way he followed me on Power Pound, I followed him on Attention Planet Earth, and that's just kind of the way we roll. It's so much fun. We very often don't know what the final outcome will be with some of these songs.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's what makes the album work, because when I was listening through it, because I didn't even know about this as a Kevin fanatic, that this album existed. I've been a big fan of yours and Kevin's, and so this was amazing to find out. But you're listening through it, and I love a lot of variety in albums. I don't care where it goes. So you've got "You Can Lie," which is, of course, very country and very, on the nose for that style of country.
Been up all night, alone in my bed. Thoughts of you spinning all through my head. I've been playing back the things that you said. Do you even care if I'm alive or I'm dead? Now maybe words don't matter to you. You never account for the things that you do. So this time, baby, I'm through. Nothing you say ever comes true. Now you can lie about your family and lie about your friends. You can lie about where you're going to and lie about where you've been. You can lie about your memories and lie about your sins. But baby, don't lie about loving me again.
And then all of a sudden you get slammed with Power Pound. And
I think You Can Lie is one of the most beautiful songs I have ever heard.
Oh, thank you. Well, that one really stemmed. I went through a pretty tough divorce years ago, and I think most of the lyrics in that song and a lot of the feeling from that song came out of the pain that I experienced through my divorce. So that one's a real heartfelt song, and
it's fantastic. So good.
And that's what we like to do with the Cousins as well. Is we don't like to stick to one genre. We like to go from a raging techno song to a soft, quiet country love song, and that's so fun to just bounce all over the genre map.
Yeah, I was struck by how eclectic and broad-ranging the songs were. You have such a huge range of styles. I mean, you start off with Behind the Glass.
Who am I? I'm alone again. Who am I? I'm a man again. Who am I? Who am I? See the people walking past. Don't know how to make it last. Wonder why I ever said goodbye.
Which may be my favorite tune on the album. By the way, if you're listening and you haven't heard Rattlesnake Love, it is on Spotify. Please check it out. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
The melody is really haunting in Behind the Glass. It kind of reminds me of this band that I absolutely adore called Storyman. They used to go by the Guggenheim Grotto, but very, very, just haunting, I think is the word I'm looking for. And then you move, of course, into this Bayou ballad, Rattlesnake Love, the title track.
Yeah.
A candle flickers in the middle of the night. Lovers twisting in the shadow lights. They do the dance that broken lovers do. Rattlesnake romance under the summer moon.
Which I really love the Jethro Tull flute trilling and everything. It's like very, very different. And then it goes into Bikini Baby Breakdown.
She's leaving town. Bikini baby breakdown. Bikini baby breakdown. Bikini baby breakdown. Breaking down on me.
Which just made me laugh because I was at the gym listening to this and I just started laughing on the treadmill. People probably thought I was insane, but yeah, I mean, I would compare it with like the B-52s or even the Beach Boys. You get into this nice vocal harmony part, and yeah, I mean, I've never, I always tell people when they get in my car that I warn them I have a fairly schizophrenic music taste, and they're liable to hear jazz or classical or rock or hip-hop, country or anything, and it's really cool for me to kind of just be able to put on an album and kind of go through the whole gamut there. And yeah, I gotta say, Harland, congratulations on this album because it's really beautiful. I was, not that I wasn't expecting it to be good, but I think because I associate you so much with comedy, I was thinking it would be a little more comedic, like almost like a Flight of the Conchords kind of thing. And there are definitely a couple tracks that kind of do that. But yeah, I mean, I was struck by just some of the really more straightforward ones, like The Clown, for instance. Very interesting song.
'Cause he's a clown, he's crying on the inside. He's a clown, he's lonely and afraid. He's a clown, he's crying on the inside. with one foot in the grave.
I love the strings. Could you tell me the story behind that? Because it seems like, I mean, if it's not too personal, it seems like, I mean, it's a pretty, it's almost like a suicide ballad, right?
It is, yeah. There's kind of a tragedy to the clown. It's a song about stand-up comedian taking his own life, and it was based off of when I started off my career up in Toronto. There was a couple of young comedians who were, you know, they weren't the best, but they were trying, and they were doing the amateur night, and you know, at times I noticed they'd go through a little bit of ridicule, and you know, just being a comedian, it's hard when you don't do as well as you feel like you could, and sadly, two of these comedians that I know took their own lives. They committed suicide, and it really it really hit me. I was like, wow, the irony of people that are trying to elicit laughter and bring joy to people were so busted up inside and in such a dark and sad, lonely place that they took their own lives. It really resonated with me, and in a way, the clown song is a dedication to those guys, and as my career went on, I know other comedians that took their lives. In fact, a guy just last year took his life down here in Hollywood, a great comedian, and so it was kind of a strong theme, and so the song's pretty powerful. It's based off of some real tragedy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most somber and melancholic song on the album, and it sits between probably the two silliest songs, which are Power Pound and Attention Earthlings. So it really kind of sucker punches you, you know?
Yeah, that's the idea of our music. We just, like I said, we just try to keep people kind of off guard, and they don't know what's coming next, but we just strive to make good songs no matter what the genre is, and we have a blast because we don't get bored. You know, if 1 minute you're doing a song about suicide, and the next minute you're doing like a 1950s beach blanket bingo type beach song. You know, it's pretty fun, man. Me and Kevin have a real magic relationship. I mean, in real life we do, but when we start doing music together, it's just something really clicks with me and him.
Now, what made you and Kevin think about going into the studio in Hollywood and just jamming to begin with?
Well, it was mostly Kevin. You know, he's my cousin. I don't know if you know that, but so
what?
We've been in each other's lives since we were, huh? Oh yeah, the name of the band probably gave it away. Yeah.
I thought that was just a figure of speech.
Yeah, I know, but we really are cousins, and so we were making music since we were little boys. He always wanted me to sing, and he'd play this music, and as we got older, you know, whenever we were together, we'd kind of improvise some songs, and then one day Kevin said, you know, let's do some for real, and I was like, okay, and so that's what started it, and so every few years we're kind of like the creature from Jeepers Creepers. We have to come out and feed, and so we've actually been talking about doing a new one maybe this year. We've been laying down some songs, and one, I'll give you a little hint. One of them's got to do with zombies falling in love. So get ready for that one.
I can't wait for that. That's awesome.
I'll give you a little rip. It goes, baby, baby, I'm a zombie full of love. So there's part of the rip. You're the first to hear it.
We got a preview.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I think that Hollywood missed a huge chance here. This song fits so perfectly with the movie The Joker. Matter of fact, I think that maybe Hollywood owes you a few rights because this song is so close to The Joker.
Yeah, you know what? No, I didn't put that together, but you're right. And you know, it's funny because one year we were at the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal. It's the biggest comedy festival in the world. And the guys who run it kind of gave me a free ticket to do a show there. And so I said to Kevin, I said, let's go up and do a preview of The Clown, the musical from Broadway. And so we told everyone we were doing like select songs from the Broadway show, The Clown, but we had the Clown song from the album, but the rest of them we made up, and we kind of built this story. We played it out on stage about a comedian who was rising and then got suicidal, and so me and Kevin have always kind of tinkered with the idea of turning The Clown into a like a play, like a Broadway musical type play. So who knows? Keep your eyes open, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, Harland, the question I had for you is, first of all, my two favorite songs on the album personally are definitely Lover's Heart. I adore that song. And Broken Angel. And I think my notes when I was listening through the first time was actually, holy shit, Harland's vocals on this are amazing.
Yeah.
Was what I put there. Oh, they're fantastic. The vocals on that song are unbelievable, and the backing vocals are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I just was curious about your writing process. Like, is there usually someone does the lyrics, someone takes on the backing vocals? Like, is there any set, thing there, or is it pretty much impromptu when you write songs together?
You know what it is? Me and Kevin get together, and he just, I hand him a guitar, or he pulls out his guitar, and he starts playing, and we'll just hit the record button on the phone, and he'll start playing a riff, and then I'll just start singing. And believe it or not, Broken Angel and Behind the Glass, and almost in fact, every one of those songs was literally just came from an improvisation.
Oh, wow.
Rattlesnake
That's
Love,
amazing.
I just went in the booth and started singing it. We were at a studio and just started singing it. So once we kind of have that idea down, I'll go in and maybe tweak the lyrics so they make a little more sense. But for the most part, I'd say the bulk of the lyrics that I improvise are actually the ones that I use, because for some reason when I get in the booth and I sing, I really channel my emotions. Like, I close my eyes and I really feel the lines that I'm singing, and so I like to stay true to what's coming out of me in that emotional moment, and I try to keep most of what's there, and then if something feels a little crooked, I'll even it out with a line or a word, but I try to stay as true to that purity as I can,
Right.
You can hear that. It really comes through.
Thank you.
Yeah,
the Broken Angel song was based on a girl that I knew in Hollywood, a beautiful model girl who came, and I think she, like a lot of girls in Hollywood, they come here to chase their dreams, and they end up on the bad end of the world of lust,
right,
and so that song was actually based on a girl that I really cared about and kind of went through that process, and I just always wanted to reach out and be able to save her, but it's not something you can do. The machine's too big here.
Yeah.
She's a little angel with a broken wing. Broken little angel, no more prayers to sing.
And you can definitely hear that in the song. It sounds like this is a true story. This was someone that you knew. And
oh, wow, that's interesting.
Oh,
Thank
absolutely.
you,
Unbelievable song.
I agree, Jeff. That's also one of my favorite things. Behind the Glass and Broken Angel are my two favorites. And Broken Angel, I'm hearing some like maybe REM and Duran Duran with the pulsing synth bass. What would you say your big? I mean, obviously they're kind of all over the place, but what were some of your biggest influences musically, you and Kevin Harland?
Boy, I don't know that as far as this stuff goes, I don't know that I have any, and that's reflected in the fact that we go all over the place. I'm like you in your car. I think of music as food, and I wouldn't go through life and only eat sushi. I'd want Indian, I'd want Italian, I'd want Greek, I'd want it all, and so So with the cousins, we try to taste all the flavors of the music world, and so I don't necessarily love influences because I feel like when you're influenced, you're doing what someone else already did. So I try to kind of steer clear of influences, to be honest, with my comedy and my music.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask, because it's clearly so all over the place, and that does link into a question I had about your stand-up. One of the things I really enjoy about your stand-up is that you have a very distinct comedic voice. You have this sort of exasperated tone that almost implies you're questioning the very nature of reality. A lot of your comedy is
I am, believe me.
Yes. A lot of your comedy is like observational in nature, but it borders on the surreal, and it kind of goes back and forth. You tiptoe across the line and go back. I think it's impossible to throw away a trash can is one of those jokes that I'll never be able to forget. I just think about it every time I think of trash. It's like a mind virus. But yeah, your delivery is very you. I can't think of another comic to compare you to. There's no real danger of someone mistaking you for anyone else or mistaking someone else for you. Was that something that you worked to develop, or have you always just kind of been a little different?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I wanted to go out and present to the world. I thought, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to get in front of the world and be on the world stage, I want to give them something that they haven't had or experienced or is different. So I always try to present freshness with what I do, and like I said, I appreciate other artists, and I'm sure subliminally I'm influenced to a degree by other artists, but I try not to have influences, because I always say to myself, Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin didn't have anyone to look at. They just started, and they didn't have any movies or TV or books to read about how to be funny, how to do comedy. Like, they didn't have influences unless they knew some cavemen that were really hilarious, And so
those Geico guys are great.
Yeah, right. But I just thought to myself, if those guys had no influences and they could come up with what they came up with, then that's them. That's their purity. And I always loved purity in art. And so I tried with my comedy to make it as pure as I can, and not try to draw from other people, regardless of how great they are. I don't look down on any of the other people, but I don't want influences.
Yeah, it's like some comics you kind of say, okay, they're kind of doing a George Carlin or a Lenny Bruce thing, or some people are like, oh, they're kind of channeling Bill Hicks. I can't do that with you, and that's I think it's one of the things that's really
what I
refreshing.
Want to hear.
Yeah,
that makes me happy. Good.
Well, and so your style is completely different though when you go on these talk shows, though. So
yeah, well,
I think people underestimate your ability to improv. They watch your shows, and you are this amazing comedian, and then you go on Conan O'Brien, and every single time I watch you, it's like watching Muhammad Ali step into the ring with me, because Conan O'Brien just does not seem to know how to handle you, and you just devastate him in there, and it's hilarious.
I feel like by the 5th or 6th interview, he probably stopped writing questions, actually.
Well, I'll tell you, Conan, first of all, before I tell you about Conan, I'll tell you what I had to learn is doing talk shows and sitting down is its own animal. Like stand-up is its own world, but I realized after doing about 5 or 6 talk shows that it's its own art form. There's a technique and a way to do it successfully, and that's something I had to learn on the fly. But that being said, my first few times on Conan, I didn't like it because it didn't go well. And then one day I kind of switched gears and changed my approach and my attitude, and it just blew. Like, I had the best appearance with Conan, and then every time after that it was amazing. And Conan used to say to me during the commercial breaks, he'd say, Harland, you're one of my favorite guests because I just get to sit back and watch you go. Like other guests, I have to ask them questions. I have to struggle to kind of connect with them because I just know you come out, I can sit back and just watch you go, and I love it. So that was a high compliment from Conan, which I always appreciated.
Just give a random shiver me tinder slurky dork, you know?
How dare you rape me with your eyes?
And you guys could tell that you guys have a lot of respect for each other. Like the fact that he trusts you enough to give you that space to just go in there and do what you need to do, and that you are going to be funny and entertaining, is just amazing.
It really is. He I think we learned to for lack of a better term, we learned to dance really good together. You know, like I said, the first few times out, I think I kind of didn't know what he was doing, and he didn't know what I was doing. But then that one time when it kind of switched my energy around, it just merged, and every time after that, it was just like magic. Like we just danced like Fred Astaire and Ginger. It was amazing. We'd have the best time.
Now, speaking of dancing, I want to bring us back to the video of Lover's Heart and Behind the Glass.
Yeah.
Because I have to ask you about Kevin's mustache in those videos.
Yeah.
What was going on? Where did that come from?
Well, I had the idea, you know, as I said, remember I kind of told you guys that, like, I like it that the cousins are ambiguous, and so you don't know if they're from the 60s or they're from the future, and so I said to Kevin, I said, I want to shoot a video for this song, but I want it to be like one of those old, like, you know, those old, like, videos you saw on TV in the 60s, like Neil Young and guys like that, just a real simple backdrop, and it looks like, we look like hippies. And so I said, Kevin, I want you to put on this big fake mustache, and then we're going to do some close-ups where you're just licking it with your tongue, you know. So the joke was that we were trying to make it sexual, but to anyone watching, it was obviously disgusting. And Kevin didn't even want to do it, and I said, dude, trust me, it's going to be gold. And then once he saw it, he was laughing his ass off.
That wink at the audience that he gives, the screaming audience, I love that.
Yeah, it was great. And the story behind that is we were out the night before, and we shot that in Ottawa, Canada, and we were out having some fun and drinking quite a few beers, and we were immensely hungover. We were on the verge of like throwing up. We had to shoot that thing in the morning, and we could barely get off the couch in the green room. And so that look on our faces where we just look kind of out of it is very real.
Well, so I have one for you. So I have one for you, Harland.
Sure.
Switching gears, I do have a bone to pick with you, so it's time to pull the Band-Aid off.
Here we go.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old, and so I typically start my day, you know, getting ready in the morning, and then spend the remainder of my day singing "Pup, pup, 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 puppy pals."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, because they love that show. So, how did I know that you got your start doing, you know, children's books with Lickety Split and all that, and so how did that come about? Getting the show on Disney Channel, and because it's a fantastically done show.
Oh, thank you. In fact, I just 2 hours ago I was in the sound booth recording like 4 episodes. So over at Disney, but that show came out of kind of a real life situation. I had a couple of puppies at my old house, and when I used to go out for meetings, I'd put them in a small room in the basement and shut the door just so they didn't make a mess in the house. But I would put a newspaper down back in the days when we had newspapers, and I'd say to them, guys, don't forget to do your business. And I'd point to the newspaper, and then I'd leave and drive to my meetings. And then I always used to think to myself, what if the puppies thought do your business meant to read the headline and resolve the headline? Like, you know, ship goes down in the Bermuda Triangle, or Bigfoot spotted in the forest. And And so I always thought, what if the dogs thought their business was to read the headline and go out and solve it before I got back from work at the end of the day? And that was kind of the genesis of the show. And when I pitched it to Disney, they loved it. And now we're about to start our 4th season. It's unbelievable.
Right, yeah.
The show plays in over 130 countries all over the world, and it's amazing what can come from a small idea.
That's so great that you have an amazing hit like that.
Yeah, it blew my mind. I was traditionally the preschool shows like that only get about 2 seasons, and the fact that we're starting our 4th, and who knows, possibly a 5th. It's just amazing, and I'm blessed, and I love it, and I love it that it's resonating with all the young kids. It's, I think about it and I go, millions of children's very first television experience is going to be with something that I created and that I'm in and that I write, and that's going to be the first thing they ever see on a television. It's pretty powerful.
And I can vouch that it works because, like I said, my 5-year-old and my 1-year-old just sit there glued to the TV, and it's just one of those things when you're a parent, you're going to watch things over and over and over. So it darn well better be something you enjoy watching, and that is, like I said, it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. It really kind of registered with me when someone told me that there's a free episode of Puppy Dog Pals. If you type Puppy Dog Pals into YouTube, the first hit is a full free episode, and my friend told me to go on and look at the numbers, and I was like, 65 million people have watched that up, and I was just like, holy God, like,
wow.
It blows my mind every time. Yeah, so if the Cousins could sell that many albums, I'd be twice as happy.
Very nice. Hey, Harlan, my friend Ian, shout out to Ian McDonald, who's been working very hard on doing stand-up in the last year, and he's a musician as well. He's the drummer in my band, The Second Child. He's a big fan of your work, and I told him I was going to be talking to you, and he was very jealous, but he wanted to know, and I would like to know too, any plans? Are you going to do like a stand-up tour anytime? Or I know you did some stuff with Tom Green. Are you going to do any live shows?
Yeah, well, I'm always touring, so if you ever want to see my stand-up schedule, you can go to harlandwilliams.com. I tour every year. I don't do it quite as much as a lot of comics because I have other obligations with, Puppy Dog Pals and other projects, but I do kind of get out there all year, and coincidentally, Tom Green and I have, I think we have three or four shows together coming up. I think they're all in Canada. Oh, no, there's one in Rochester, New York, which isn't that far from you guys. Later in the year, we're doing a club in Rochester, and then we're doing Calgary in March, and then a couple of casinos together up in Canada later in the year. So me and Tom love working together. We're good buddies, and we hang out all the time, and he's the best, man.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get out to see you in Rochester. That'd be great. I wanted to ask you...
let us know. We'll get you tickets. Just if you decide to come down, we'll hook you up. Me and Tom will hook you up.
That'd be fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I know he would love to meet you and shake your hand because you've been a big big inspiration to him.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, now that you brought up, we talked about Tom Green, I have to ask what it was like working on Freddy Got Fingered, because I feel like it's interesting. I saw someone do a review of it recently on YouTube, like in the last couple of years, and I think people are coming back to it and really looking at it through a different lens, and they're kind of saying, like, it's almost like Dada, you know what I mean? It's almost like a complete satire of the whole Hollywood studio process.
Yeah.
Do you think that was what Tom had in mind?
Maybe to a degree he did that, but I think Tom was just, he was a guy that was marching to the beat of his own drum, and he had a very unique sense of humor, and he was given a free ticket. They said, you can write it, you can direct it, you can star in it, and I always tip my hat to Tom that he didn't go with the typical like Happy Gilmore or Black Sheep, or he he went down a road that was very different and very edgy and very kind of dangerous, and it wasn't a commercial hit, but I always admire Tom for, staying true to who he was and what his artistic vision was, because a lot of people in this town, they bail on that, and it's sad because I think true art really comes from people that have no fear and take those chances the way he did.
Yeah, I feel like everything is sort of focus group these days, and it's nice to see something totally unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I always was just so, applauded Tom for just listening to his own creative voice. It was great. And I had a blast doing the movie, too. It was amazing.
So I want to go back real quick, and we were talking about the TV show and how wonderful that's doing. I want to talk about a TV show that did not do so well, unfortunately.
Here we go.
The pilot for the Bare Naked Ladies variety show.
Oh, right.
How much of that were you ad-libbing, especially like with the nicknames you were throwing out, the throwing the bags at the bus? Like, how much of this was you?
Well, I haven't seen that darn thing, so I know that I was ad-libbing a lot. So if there's, I would guess that probably half of it, because I always do the lines as they're written, for a couple of passes, and then I kind of go off script, and it sounds like that they probably used some of my ad-libs, so. But,
well, they were wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, the nicknames that you came up for the band members were hilarious.
Oh, really? Oh, my God. I'll have to watch it one of these days. I still haven't seen it.
It's still available.
I'll send you the link so you can watch it.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you.
But I love that your delivery makes it so hard that the band is really working so hard not to crack up when they're reacting to you on the screen. But correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that you were actually in character at the concert that they filmed for the pilot as well, and that you threw some panties up on stage.
Yeah, I was, but I think that was part of the guys who wrote the script. They wanted me there as that. I didn't just do it because I'm like a method actor. They actually asked me to be there as the character and throw the panties and all that, and. Right. And lucky for them, I wear panties, so that was perfect.
How fortuitous.
Are there any other more stories from that pilot that never made the light of day?
Well, it was pretty rushed, but it was fun. It was interesting to see the ladies, because suddenly they were thrown into the world of acting, and it was interesting to see each band member and how they kind of absorbed that, and I remember Ed being a little more like very serious about it, and Kevin was more a little bit clued out about it, and Jim was like kind of like, what do we do here? And it was just interesting to see these guys. They never really like had to act and remember lines, and it was fun to watch the energy that each one of them had and brought towards it. But they looked like they're having fun, and it was definitely a great concept. The gist of that show was going to be kind of like, there was a show back in the 70s called The Monkees.
Uh-huh.
and it was about, the Monkees were this band, and they kind of just, all this irreverent humor, and nothing made sense. And I think the show was supposed to be kind of like that, just following the Bare Naked Ladies on this wild musical ride, That was kind of the gist of it, and if it had taken off, I think it would have been really cool. But it was a kind of out of the box idea, and like many things in Hollywood, they shoot tons of pilots all the time that never see the light of day, sadly. So,
right.
I mean, we did a pilot for Puppy Dog Pals, and I wasn't sure if it was going to make it, and the next thing you know, here we are. So it's all a big crapshoot here.
Right. Well, with the Bare Naked Ladies show, we talked about that when we did the interview. It feels like one of those shows that was a very target audience. I mean, if you're a Bare Naked Ladies fan, you're gonna want to watch it. You love it, but There's like a certain time frame or a certain period of time where it might have worked a little differently, but yeah, we talked about like you said with the characters and how they were reacting, but Tyler just seemed to eat it up though.
Tyler I would say was the most natural. He's kind of I'd say he's the most fearless and just kind of, he just seemed to kind of fall into that acting thing quite easily. He was kind of like little more wired for it. I think the other guys were a little more trepidatious and nervous, and Tyler's just kind of outgoing and kind of just had a bit more of a natural knack for it, I think,
Yeah, that definitely shows.
Yeah. I can tell you that without even seeing it. I just remember that, and he's like that on stage too. He just runs out, and he's kind of fearless. So it's good to see.
That reminds me of something that you did with them just a few years before that, even with Falling for the First Time. How did that come about?
Oh yeah, well the guys asked me to come up and do that video. They shot that in Toronto, and to be honest, I didn't really want to do it that much. I was kind of like, I didn't want to fly all the way up to Toronto and all this and that, but I loved the guys and I loved my cousin, so I kind of went up there a little bit begrudgingly, but then once we started doing it, it was really fun. And yeah, they just asked me to do it, and I eventually said, yeah, let's do it. And we shot deep into the night. I think we shot until the sun came up. It was a long shoot, but it was a lot of fun. I didn't know the song. I didn't know anything about it. And then I was, a few months later, I was at the Hard Rock Casino in Las Vegas, and I was there with my buddy, and my buddy says, there's video screens all over the casino because it's a rock and roll casino. And he goes, hey, dude, is that you? And I looked up, and they're playing the video, and that's the first time I saw it. I was like, well, there I am. Look at that. That's pretty weird.
I love that you're like the facial expressions that you use throughout the video, and that this guy gets more and more incensed about the music, so much so that he leaves his desk and has to destroy the TV.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I did a little thing at the end. I think they left it in the video, but when I throw the TV in the dumpster at the end, and I thought, you know what, I'm so pissed I'm gonna spit on it. And they didn't expect that. I think they left that in the video, or I spit on it.
They did. And you're making these faces at it.
Well, I kind of feel like if people work with you, they have to expect that there's gonna be improv. You're gonna go your own way, because my understanding is, I know I'm off the rails here, but like with down Periscope and the whale.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, that was
none of that was scripted, right?
Well, you know what? Here's the reality with Down Periscope is that was scripted. That they said, the script read that the sonar man, which was my character, makes this crazy whale sound. And about 3 days before we were going to shoot, the producers of the movie came to me and they said, Harlan, we're cutting this scene, the whale scene. And I said, why? And they said, well, we don't know how we're going to do it. We don't have any way to make that whale sound. And I said, guys, trust me, I'll give you the whale sound. I said, don't cut the scene. And they go, how are you going to do it? I said, I need you to trust me. And they said, all right, we're going to trust you. And they didn't cut the scene, and I think it might have been the scene that stole the whole movie. And
it's the one everyone remembers, right?
Yeah, it was. And when I did it on set, we didn't rehearse it. We didn't, like I said, just shoot it. And so we didn't rehearse it, and the rest of the cast didn't know what was coming. And because it was in a submarine, everyone's in the same enclosed space. So there was 22 cast members in this tin can, and here's me on take one, walking around doing these crazy noises. And when the director yelled cut, it just exploded with people. Couldn't believe it. They were laughing so loud. It was amazing. We ended up doing that take about 5 times, and I just got crazier with each one. It was great.
Yeah, I really admire your improv instincts. I think I was listening to one of your stand-up specials, and you were doing some crowd work, and you asked somebody, I think, what do you do? And I think they said, like, I work with computers or something very, very vague. And you just immediately said, wow, I wish there was some comedy there. Okay, moving on. And just got a really big laugh out of the crowd. It's great. I think the first thing I remember, Harland, seeing you in was Dumb and Dumber as the cop. And then, and then of course, I remember the 7-Minute Abs hitchhiker guy in Something About Mary. Right. Those are pretty early roles for you, I think. Were you doing a lot of improv then, or was that pretty much all scripted out, or did you?
No, that's where the improv started. I mean, Dumb and Dumber was my first movie, and to my shock, I was quite terrified because I'd never done a movie before. So I rolled on set, and there was Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels and me, a guy who'd never done anything, and we did probably about 5 takes right out of the script, and I was quite nervous, as you can imagine. And then the Farrellys came up to me, and they, to my surprise, they said, "Harland, okay, we got it up the script." They said, "Now just do it the Harland way." And I go, "What do you mean by that?" And they said, just do it your way. And I said, "Really? I can do anything?" And they said, "Yep." So I just went off, and that's where I made the dolphin noises, and I made up all those lines about Granddaddy's cough syrup and pumpkin pie haircut.
Oh my god, I was wondering about that. Grandpa's old hair tonic or cough syrup or whatever. Yeah, that's great.
Well, that line actually plays as a connection to Kevin too, because our grandfather Neil O'Donnell, when we were kids, there was 11 grandkids, and so my family and his family would go to my grandparents' house when we were little kids, and my grandfather used to like to have a drink, but back then, they didn't want the kids to know that it was a drink. I guess they were kind of religious and stuff. So my grandfather always used to say, when he wanted a drink, he'd say to my grandmother, go, "Mother, bring me some more cough medicine." And so when I was on set and I saw that bottle of booze sitting in the truck, I just immediately made that connection to my grandfather, and that's why I said, "You guys been sucking back on Granddaddy's cough syrup." And and so every time someone quotes that line to me, which is a lot, it makes me think of my grandfather. So it's got a lot of sentimental value.
Nice.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, I love to improvise lines. Same with Something About Mary. I'd say about 50% of that whole scene that I did with Ben Stiller was just me winging it. Once again, the Farrellys told me to just go for it, and I did. I was ready. And so most of that stuff's all made up.
Yeah, I think your reaction and him playing the straight man off of it kind of be like, yeah, great idea. It's like so funny. Like that's such a great scene.
Well, he was so gracious because, he played it so real and so quiet and low that he really helped feed what I was doing, and it was very gracious of him to, just kind of roll with it. And sometimes actors, if they see someone's getting funny or bigger or something, they want to kind of come up and meet that and challenge it or try and do better. But Ben just stayed in his lane and stayed where he needed to be, and that helped me do what I did, and it worked really well.
Very cool.
So one thing I wanted to bring up with you is we talked a lot about your accomplishments and everything you've done musically, creating shows, the acting. But I think you've really made it when the It's Raining Tacos guy writes a song about you. Have you heard? Have you heard?
Yeah, the guys from it's a
Nerf
band,
Herder.
right?
Yeah, Nerf Herder.
Oh yeah. They wrote a song, and I didn't even know it. I do a lot of radio shows when I go on my tours. I show up at radio stations to do promo, and I walked into this one radio station one morning, and they started playing that song, and I just thought the DJs had whipped it together. And then I said, "That was a great thing." And they go, "No, this band did it." And then they showed me who the band was, and I was like, holy smoke. So I was quite honored, and that was really nice of them. I couldn't believe it.
What was the name of that video?
It's I Want to Be Your Harland
Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna be
$100 is a lot to pay for a pencil, unless the pencil comes from Harland Williams.
I will be putting that in the liner notes.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy a $100 pencil unless the $100 pencil, or unless the pencil was owned by Harland Williams. Is like what.
That's hilarious. And there's a story to that $100 pencil line, which I'm proud of. You know, as you mentioned earlier in the interview, I write and illustrate children's books, and going back to my grandfather used to own an advertisement agency where they'd put your name on anything. Like you'd put it on a calendar, a comb, a coffee mug, anything. And so one Christmas he gave all of the grandkids a box of 100 pencils with their names on them. And because of my affection for my grandfather, I illustrate all my kids' books with his pencils. And I kind of illustrate them until they're kind of worn down to the nub. And I had one, I just finished a kid's book, and I was going to throw it away. And I thought, you know, what if there's a real hardcore fan out there that loves my kids' books? And not that I'm comparing myself to Dr. Seuss, but what if you could buy the pencil that Dr. Seuss drew green eggs and ham with? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I thought, what if there's a real fan out there who loves my books and knew they could buy the pencil? So just for a kick, I put it on my on my web store for $100, and I didn't know if anyone would buy it, but it was hilarious because my dad actually saw it and started mocking me. He was making fun of me. And sure enough, one day somebody bought it, and I sent him the damn bill of sale, and I said, "Screw you, Pops, I did it." So I love it that those guys added that in the song. It was hilarious.
Harland, do you know who David Reese is? He did the Get Your War On webcomic, and then he did a show called Going Deep with David Reese more recently for, like, I think Nat Geo. I
don't.
He has a website called artisanalpencilsharpening.com, and he sells pencils sharpened personally by him for $100 a pop.
Oh, my God, he must have heard my song.
Yeah, he owes you some royalties.
He owes me some eraser nibs or something, yeah. Good Lord.
Kids, you won't appreciate this now, but this pencil you're holding was once held by a guy who drank pee in a Jim Carrey flick.
That's right. You know, somebody wants it, you know.
Now, we have a couple listener questions. I want to throw a couple of those out there if I can.
Yeah, of course.
So, Jeff Olet asked, how many people still yell, "Killer Boots Man," at you?
Oh, it never stops. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, I don't know why, I don't know how, but people remember that small scene from Dumb and Dumber. They remember every line. I get it all the time. If I go out, somebody says something about it. So, pretty amazing.
And then Tom Caldwell asked, when did you first know that you had such a unique fried chicken recipe?
I mean, we all have one inside. It's just a matter of when it comes out in life, you know? I mean, look at Johnny Swiss Chalet. What happened with him? Or, you know, it's the Popeye. I mean, everybody's got something inside of them.
One of the tidbits that I found that really impressed me, because like I said, I love your work. I love your stand-up. I'm a huge fan of your music. But my 5-year-old is obsessed with dinosaurs. So when I found out that you had a line of books, about a brontosaurus named Jimbo, I started looking around. I couldn't, at least in a short look, find anything. Where would you get those?
Oh, well, the problem is on what's it called? Is it Wikipedia or whatever it is?
Wikipedia. Yeah.
Is that where they put everyone's like profile or whatever?
Yeah, right. I think that's where I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. So on Wikipedia they listed my dinosaur books as Jimbo. I don't know where they got that title. They're actually called Lickety Split is the name of the brontosaurus. So
okay.
I don't know why they put Jimbo, but here's the thing that's horrible about Wikipedia. I've gone in there in the past and changed about 30 inaccuracies, and gone back 3 days later, and somebody's changed them all back. So you end up giving up. It's really weird. So a lot of the stuff you read on Wikipedia isn't always accurate. So it's not Jimbo, it's lickety split. Yeah.
People stop doing that. Let him get it right.
Oh yeah, right. As soon as you said that, now here we go. Amazon Con. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. And I even wrote to Wikipedia. I said, "Hey man, I'm Harland Williams. Like I'm making changes that are accurate. I'm trying to help you." And they don't that's the thing. Anyone can go in and change it. So whoever was doing it must have thought that they knew better than me. So
Harland, how dare you deface your own Wikipedia article?
I know, it's so weird.
I like Jimmy, and it will always be Jimmy.
Oh, this artwork is fantastic.
So Harland, I know as someone who also is a musician and who writes music, it's difficult. People say it's like choosing amongst your children. But let's be honest, we all have favorites. Do you have a favorite track from Rattlesnake Love?
Boy. I think I really love Rattlesnake Love because it was one of these things where I went into the booth and I put the headphones on and I didn't have any notion of what I was going to say when I walked in. My mind was blank.
Stream of
and as soon as I started to hear that music, I just, out of my mouth was, "A candle flickers in the middle of the night." And then that just kind of set the stage like a flickering candle in the dark. And I just kind of started following that vibe. And then somehow I threw in the line, "Down in the bayou," and it was one of those songs. It was almost like this magic black cloak that came out of me and wrapped around me. And it's kind of a haunting kind of weird sexual song. And then we brought Carol Pope in to sing some lines with me. And
she had some great vocal work on that.
Oh, yeah. So I think I really love that one because it's so kind of mystical and haunting, and the lines and the music. And I worked Kevin pretty hard on that one. I said, "Kevin, it really needs to be seductive. Like it needs," and I don't know that he got it. And he actually mixed, I think, 3 or 4 versions, and I kept telling him, "No, you're not getting it." And so finally what I did is I said, "I'm going to send you the trailer for a movie that came out in the 70s called Body Heat." And there's a scene where John Hurt smashes the door open to get in at Kathleen Turner, and they just make wild love. And it says there needs to be that kind of passion to this song, that sexual tension. And after I sent him that trailer, and I said, "We got to have wind chimes. Wind chimes will set the tone." And after he saw that trailer, he kind of really got it, and then we worked it out, and it really became, I don't know, it's very sensual to me. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. That's a perfect illustration of how, like, freely that album just kind of goes in one direction and then another. Can't recommend it enough. Really looking forward to, if you guys are making another album, whatever else you might come out with. I'm
hoping we get something laid down this year. We've already got we got some interesting songs, and we've already got committals from 2 very prominent musicians that want to play on the album with us. So I won't say who it is yet, but they're mega. And
fantastic!
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting them in on the music. So it should be pretty cool. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, let us know, and we'll post it everywhere that we can.
Oh, that's very kind. Yeah, and one of the last things I want to mention to you guys, if we have time, is my latest my latest project that I've been working on. It's called Two Guys in Their Underpants, it's basically like Mr. Bill meets Beavis and Butthead. And what it is, I have these 2 little dolls that look like kind of ambiguous white males, and I take them with me all over the world, and they wear white boxer briefs and black loafers, and that's it. And I take these 2 dolls with me all over the planet, and I shoot little episodes with them, and I've had them in Saudi Arabia, and I took them to Burning Man few months ago, I threw them over Niagara Falls. I had them having sex with the St. Louis Arch recently. I mean, so it's pretty wild. And Kevin did the theme song music for me. And the only place you can watch it is it's a digital platform called Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/Harland Williams, you can, if people are real fans of what I do, they can get on, and trust me, it's going to be a wild ride. I've shot 22 episodes of this thing, and I just launched it. So every 10 days there's going to be a new episode, and it's people that have seen it are really cracking up and loving it. So keep your eyes open on Patreon for two guys in their underpants.
I'll definitely check it out.
Sounds great.
And that will be also in our liner notes. We will have that posted in there as well for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Awesome.
Yeah, if people want to stay up to date on what Harland's up to, his website, again, is harlandwilliams.com. Harland, I'm looking at the bullet gun right now. He has some original art that he's selling, too. That I kind of want to buy this. This is like a not a painting, but an art project you constructed with spent shotgun shells. This is really interesting. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I went out into the desert, and I love I like rusty things. I like old things that tell a story, and
yeah,
a lot of times I go in the desert and I find tin cans with bullet holes in them, or hubcaps, or license plates. I like to collect stuff because bullet holes to me are like why did someone shoot this? Who shot it? What,
there's a story there.
There's a story, right? And so when I was out there, I found all these old spent shotgun shells, and so I collected them all up. And when I got home, I put them together to form the shape of a gun. And the bad news is you're gonna love this. Ready? Someone just bought it yesterday.
Oh,
okay?
no.
Yeah, but I've got some other ones I'm doing. I've got one of a skull that I'm working on that I'm going to be putting up for sale soon, and there's other shotgun shell pieces of art in the works. So, but I'm glad you like it. Thank you. Unfortunately, it just got sold. So.
No, that's really cool, though. You're quite the Renaissance man, sir. Congratulations on
Thank you.
All your various projects, and I certainly am looking forward to what you have to show us in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and thanks for all your love for the Bare Naked Ladies. As my cousin being an intricate part of it, I appreciate you supporting them, and they're all amazing, great guys, and my cousin's a great guy, and so thank you for all the love you give them.
Yeah, hopefully we can get Kevin on here next. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll tell him he's got to do it. I'll insist. There'll be no more Cousins albums. That's it.
Wow. Okay, you heard it here.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you so much for spending so much time with us tonight.
Yes, thank you, Harland.
Yeah, I'm sorry it took a while, but I'm a busy guy. But it was definitely a great pleasure to talk with you guys, and keep on listening to great music, and thank you so much, all right?
Most assuredly. Thank you, Harland.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
You.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming on.
Take care.
All right, guys, all the best. Rock and roll forever, and two guys in their underpants.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
And looks like I'll be buying a bunch of these Lickety Split albums or books too.
Oh, good. Okay. Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah, my daughter would love these. I've been kind of sampling a little bit from what I see here. My daughter would absolutely eat these up, so I'm gonna be picking some of those up.
Well, wait till she sees two guys in their underpants. Oh my
well,
God.
We
might be a while for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Than that, I think. She's still on puppy dog pals.
Yeah, I get it.
Puppy dog pals and Jimmy the dinosaur.
I know. Gumbo. Ridiculous.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.